You're back with Rock and Roll Rugby, and in today's one, we're actually going to be discussing the starting lineup of the All Blacks versus Namibia and what I think will happen in the game. So, my prediction. So, let's get into it. My prediction. And I think Foster's going to be looking at giving some of the other guys a run in this game. So, let's get into it. So, my first guy that I'm calling that will start the game will be Nepo Lolala. I think he's going to give Nepo Lolala a run. Just because he hasn't given many starts, it'll be good for them to also, by creating that depth and letting their, second options start games and get enough game time, it would be very important. I think it's imperative for the All Blacks to do that so that they can feel more comfortable when their, substitutes and impact players come on, that they can have an effect on the game. And the only way to do that is for them to build up confidence and to give them game time. This is my opinion, guys. I don't know if Foster will think the same as what I will think, but I'm hoping this is what the All Blacks are going to do for their own benefit, to play a lot of the players they don't usually play and not have the mindset, oh no, we got to play our best team, because they have some fear around playing against Namibia and losing the game. I think they really need to use this opportunity to give a lot of players the opportunity they don't usually, so they can create that depth. So I'm going for Dane Coles, just because he hasn't had that much game time. He's obviously not first choice anymore, but he is there for the experience, and he is a guy that can have an impact on the game. He's that running type hooker especially, so I think he'll be good for this game. So I definitely think they'll go with Dane Coles. And with that said, that also brings a lot of experience into this team. Then I'm going with the big boy, Tamati Williams. Tamati Williams has not had a lot of opportunity in this World Cup. I think he's the type of player that will now be able to kind of, make his mark. And I do think that he might be a first choice very soon within this All Black squad. I think he's a pretty decent scrummager, and I think just overall ball carrier, he could be really good for this team. So I think they will definitely start with Tamati Williams. We know he can start on both sides. I don't know who will be loose head and who will be tight head prop. They do change that quite often because New Zealand has got these options with a lot of their players being able, Tungafasi also being able to play open and blind. For locks, I'm going with Scott Barrett. And I think Scott Barrett, I think it would be good for him to get some game time in this World Cup. Again, you're talking of good experienced player. And I think they're going to play him on lock. He's a good option to have. And I think he needs some game time, build up that confidence, get himself ready for those big matches to be back in the mix. We know this guy had outstanding form in the Rugby Championship, and I think he will pick it up again. So yeah, that is my first lock. Now guys, I'm going with Tupou Vaa'i. Now, I don't know if they're going to do this purely because I think Vaa'i played the last game, so maybe they'll feel they want to play someone else. They might want to go for Retallick or Whitelock because they have had injuries, for them to get more game time again. I just think might be good for Vaa'i because he played his last game, at flanker, and I think it was a little bit demoralizing for the guy. He's not had enough game time at lock. And I think, again, I don't know if Foster will think like this, but if you think logically, you want to, you've had Retallick and Whitelock already have injuries. Why not rather give Vaa'i some game time at lock where he belongs, not on the flank, so that that you've got the likes of Vaa'i ready if he needed to be called up. I think when it comes to the number 6 blind side flanker, I think they'll go back to what worked best so far for them. I think Luke Jacobson will start this game again and have a full game at number 6. That's what I suspect. I don't know if they'll want to try and play around and maybe move Barrett to 6 or something and try and see if they can create more depth by Barrett actually, stepping into 6. But we know Blackadder's coming, so because Blackadder's coming into the mix, I think for that they wouldn't want to start Blackadder quite yet, just because he's just walked into the team. He needs to get used to team dynamics and all of that. He might come off of the bench, but I think Luke Jacobson will start at 6. And of course, Sam Cane, I think, has recovered from that injury. They said he's part of the training squad again. Everything's going. It was just a back strain. I think he's going to be definitely your number 7 for this game. Again, a lot of experience, so they'll have a lot of experience on the field, and he will captain the side. Now, yeah, I'm going a bit way out. I'm saying Papali'i at 8. And the reason why I'm saying Papali'i at 8 is just purely because I feel that Adi Savia has got to be given a break. This guy plays repeatedly every single game. I'm sure he wants to play all the games. I don't doubt that. But you want to kind of rest a player like this a little bit so that he can also be fresh when he's needed in the big game. So I think, probably will give someone like a Papali'i a run or someone else at 8 because they really need to give Savia a rest there at 8. They haven't really got good contingency like a specialized 8 to stand in for him. So it's got to be one of these other Lucy's that's going to step in there. Then I'm taking the young man. He's got blinding pace. He's been really good when he's had games where he's played. Cam Roygaard, only 22 years old, but boy, can this guy play. And I think in already the start of this World Cup and to the build-up of this World Cup, we've had stars emerge like a Kanan Moody, Orange, all young guys, So Cam Roygaard to me is someone that the All Blacks should really invest in. He should be the second choice. I don't know if Foster's going to go back to Christie again. Maybe he will because I think he's got a serious loyalty to Christie because he's picked him. But I would let Christie come from the bench and play Cam Roygaard from the start. We'll see if it's going to be Christie or Roygaard. But I'm sure they will definitely rest Smith. Now, many might say, no, they've got to keep their combinations going with Smith and Mwanga and play right through. But it's not necessary, guys, against Namibia. Honestly, I just don't think it would be necessary to not give those guys a break. So I would also say Muhunga should get a break. I really feel Mackenzie needs some game time because what they are doing at the moment is they're playing Muhunga all the time, and it's almost like similar to the Springboks with Manie Libbok. What if you get an injury, Who have they got to come in if they get an injury? And I feel the same with the Springboks. If Manie Libbok gets an injury, suddenly Pollard's pulled up. They need some game time before then. You should be able to play them. Now, we know Pollard can't be picked because there's been no injuries with the Springboks. But Mackenzie is in the team. And they really need to get Mackenzie more comfortable in that 10 for the World Cup. I know he's played it a lot, but for the World Cup. So that he builds up confidence, get game time, get some kicks to the posts, and get him ready to be that number 2 choice. And I think even in the games, in the upcoming games, bring him on second half, play him more. He can be utility. He can come in, I'm sure, anywhere in the back. Definitely he can also come in on fullback. And that's who I see playing number 10. The man, Havili. Havili I'm putting as the inside center just purely because I feel we haven't seen the best of Havili yet. I think he hasn't had enough game time really. And I think, again, they need to give a rest to some players there in that midfield. I don't know if Havili might play outside centre or inside centre. I think it's going to be dependent on if they want to choose Jordie Barrett to start or not. Because if Jordie Barrett starts, it might be that Havili moves out to 13. But I do think Havili will start. Well, when I'm saying I do think, it's probably what I think. It's not necessarily what the coaches might think. Jordie Barrett comes back from injury. I think he should be good for this game. And, a guy like that, you want to start giving him a run-up before the big game so he can just make sure that his injury is good. I think he's going to play. If he plays, I probably think he'll go to 12 and Havili 13. But that, I think, would be your 2 centers. So, wings, Leicester Fangianuku. Leicester Fangianuku, I think definitely, has to be playing in the shadow of a Talia and a Will Jordan at the moment. Talia has been outstanding. But I don't think you can underestimate someone like Fangianuku. I think he'll probably make a name in this game. He's going to start and he'll probably run in quite a few tries because he's just that elusive. He's a really, really good wing. And I think he could have also been more instrumental already for the All Blacks had they had him more in the mix. But definitely I think Fangianuku will get his opportunity this weekend. And then, of course, the big boy, Caleb Clarke. I think Caleb Clarke will definitely start on the other wing. And I think Caleb Clarke could give the Namibians serious problems because he's such a big guy, pretty fast, and a big player to deal with. So that will really pose a challenge for the Namibians. I think they'll definitely play him on the other wing. And then I've put Will Jordan on 15. It's just because I feel there's not enough options. That's again what I'm talking about, the depth with the All Blacks. It's you're going to have to play Will Jordan. But I also feel Will Jordan also needs to get a break. But you're going to have to play someone at 15. So it's going to either have to be Will Jordan, or I think maybe they put Jordie Barrett on fullback. I think they'll try and rest Beauden Barrett. I wouldn't want to really see Jordan play this game. He should also actually be getting a rest. But, you know, Mackenzie's got to be in there. And I think Mackenzie's got to play 10 and not 15. Because if he's your backup 10, you need to give him more exposure in that position. Get him used to the calls. So if you have to get him on the field for injuries or whatever, he is ready. On 15, we know Will Jordan can just slot back at 15. I've got a feeling they might play him on 15 for this game. Then reserves, so forward reserves. I think the All Blacks will go for Ofa Tungafasi as a reserve that will come on. He might start. I'm not too sure of the props, but, you know, I think Jason Ryan will have a big focus this week on the props, on the front pack, and having a sublime performance when it comes to the forwards. You know, Namibia doesn't have no light forward pack. They have some good players, so it'll be a challenge for them up front. We know the Namibians play a similar style of rugby to the Springboks, so they will be challenged in the set pieces a bit, and they'll want to give their best performance to kind of get that confidence up with the forwards to say we are ready. And I think Fletcher Newell will also be in there. He will be the other replacement from the bench to come up. He might even start and someone else from the bench. I don't know, but this is what I think will happen. Fletcher Newell also on the bench. Takio Samasoni, I think he will keep being an impact player, kind of what Marks did for a very long time, because they have this thing where they have to either play Taylor or they have to play Cole. So I do think that he will stay as an impact player on the bench, but also get some game time. Then I think on the bench they'll also have Brodie Retallick. I think they'll want him after his recovery of his injury to start getting more game time, more experience coming on. Great to have that kind of impact from the bench, and that's who I think will come from the bench. So next one in is Casper the Ghost. No, I'm joking. They haven't got a picture up for him yet, guys, but it is Ethan Blackadder. Now this man, if we look in the last 2 to 3 years, probably, to me, in my opinion, apart from Sevilla, the best loose forward that the All Blacks have had of late. He was outstanding for a while, and I'm excited to see this guy back in the team. Why he's not been around from the start, I know he had an injury, but if you know he's going to recover, rather keep him in the mix. It's the same as what I felt with Pollard, but he's going to be there. And the question's going to be, do they not play him at all in this game because he's got to get used to the team dynamics? Or do they immediately start playing him, but like on a second half, just to start giving him some game time, see how he does? I've gone for Finley Christie on the bench, but it's pretty much the way I feel it should be done, because I just think he is the third choice in my opinion. I don't know if Foster will agree. He might start Christie and bring Roygaard on because he's such a good impact player and he's the younger player. I would want it the other way around, but I wouldn't be surprised if Christie starts at 9 and Roygaard comes on. But I think they'll both get a run. And then last but not least, Anton Leonard-Brown at also on the bench. I think he'll be on the bench. You know, for me, he didn't have a bad last game. I like the way that he was kind of like playing him and Ioane. I like the way Ioane runs off his shoulder. I like the way that he plays an unselfish game. He might not be the same type of carrier as a Barrett, as a Jordie Barrett in the collision. He might not be the same type of carrier, but what he does is he sets Ioane free to run well. And I think any outside centre, he's got a good way of getting those balls offloaded or out of the tackle. You got to first say the All Blacks come off of 2 losses now. You know, I'm sure it's been a bit humiliating at times. They've got the fans that's really, you know, now feel that it's time for them to start finding their form. And I think there's not a more ideal time than this Namibian game. I think they're going to come out guns blazing. And when the All Blacks, there's one time when you know the All Blacks play well. The All Blacks totally are dependent on their forwards. You'd think because they have the fast and the really talented backs, that's what's going to make them good. No. It all starts with the forwards. And we could see against France, their forwards were just a little bit off the pace. They weren't quick enough at the breakdowns. Their set pieces wasn't great. And you look at the games like the game at Mount Smart against the Springboks, where they were on that day. The first 20 minutes they did everything well. From at those rucks, they were quick to the rucks, and you could feel the fire, and they were committed. You need that for the All Blacks to be dangerous, and for those backs to have lots of opportunities to run the opposition. Now, against the weaker teams like this, we know if there's one team that's been successful to put big scores on the weaker teams, it is the All Blacks. I think because the forwards will come out with this fire, and there will be good quick ball for the backs to run with, I see quite a scoring fest against Namibia. I do feel the Namibians bring quite a bit in their forward pack, and also some of their backs are not bad. I just think they'll eventually crumble under the pressure. So I feel in the first, say, 20 minutes, there'll probably be two tries, maybe 3 tries from the All Blacks. It might still be a bit close, maybe even 1 try from Namibia. But then as the game goes along and the players tire out, and you've got those, if you look at who I said is coming from the bench, if all those guys come up, that's where the All Blacks will have too much of an impact. I think because I feel the All Blacks will have a little bit of a slow start, I reckon the All Blacks are going to win this game by 76 points. So my prediction for this game is All Blacks win it by 76 points. Maybe I am, again, that's what, I'm actually a Springbok fan, supporting the All Blacks as my second team. And I have to tell you, this is the thing, is a lot of, All Black supporters, their first team, are saying to me, you believe too much in this team and you're kind of being naive, and most Springbok supporters are for calling the All Blacks winning. Listen, last week the All Blacks lost to France, but they were in that game. It's silly decisions, playing out of their own half, and just some discipline issues at the end. There's things to be fixed, but it's small things they need to work at. It's not like this All Black team is totally out of it. A lot of it's also got to do with selection choices. Some of the stuff that Foster's been doing lately, I have to question the selection choices, and the depth of the team is more the things that affect the All Blacks. I think it's going to be a long night out for Namibia. I think this is the redemption game for the All Blacks, and they need to make a statement. Everyone's made statements. Ireland's made a big statement. The Springboks have made a big statement. I feel this is going to be the one for the All Blacks. I might be wrong, but we'll see what happens. Guys, I appreciate you watching my videos. Hit the subscribe button below, please, so that I appear on your home screen and when my next video comes up. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.